Welcome to the Arrow Podcast. I'm Chris Mulvaney. Today with me I have Steve Banks from K&B. We're going to talk a little bit about his business today, the organization themselves. Let's get rolling on the intro. So Steve, thank you so much for being on my podcast today. We've been doing business for quite some time. I thought it was about time that we get you guys on here. So thanks for coming in and showing up today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of
Good
course.
to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So tell me a little bit about K&B, what you guys do, and then we'll get into some questions.
Sure. So K&B Design Group is an engineering firm. We're licensed in all 50 states. We launched the company in 2008, April of 2008. The team have been together for over 20 years. The way that we were founded, myself and Steve Bray, who's the CEO, we worked together at another engineering company based out of Toms River called Innovative.
Okay.
And we split away from that company at the end of 2007 and formed K&B. So we kind of hit the ground running. We had 24 staff when we started.
Wow.
So it wasn't really a startup. And as we were split off from the other company, we already had existing contracts with our clients. We transferred them over. So we kind of hit the ground running, which was good.
Yeah, definitely. A lot less painful from a startup perspective.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. But I mean, we had a lot of mouths to feed.
Yes.
At the beginning, so that was interesting. But yeah, it's been a crazy ride.
Yep.
Enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah. They say that the journey is sometimes better than the actual destination, right?
Yeah,
I'm still trying to believe that.
Yeah, I know, because I enjoy a challenge. I always have, and I'm a people person.
Yep.
And we call ourselves like the K&B family. We're very, very employee focused.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of the people that have worked at the company, they came with us. Many of them came with us from Innovative in 2008. They're with us today. So that tells a story.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
tells a story, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot, especially the past 4 or 5 years, been a lot of transitions for human beings within organizations,
Right.
hopping around. So that does definitely say a lot.
Yeah, I mean, COVID changed everything, right?
Right.
We're still kind of living that world right now with the everybody wants to work from home.
Yep.
Well, a lot of people do.
Yep.
So that was interesting how that all went down.
Yeah.
So having talent retention is a key issue.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk more about employees and the things that you do from a culture perspective, because I think it's important. But I also want to set the stage too, and just let people know the different types of engineering that you offer.
Sure.
And then we'll get into like clients, like what type of client is your ideal client in each sector.
Right. So we started off mainly in the wireless telecommunications industry in 2008. That was kind of the backbone of the company's revenue and clients. Quickly added on to that in 2009. We added on MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing,
Yep.
and solar. So we've got two partners that manage both of those divisions: Steve Fox and Alison Kimball. Amazing people.
Yep.
So we added those divisions on, and we've also been working a lot in utility coordination. Power's a big thing with regards to power and fiber on the telecom side, but obviously also on the solar side with the interconnects. So we have a director of utility coordination who runs that division. And then we've been heavily involved in electric vehicle charging. So we do a lot of work on the feasibility for the sites with the clients.
Yep.
And the upfront engineering to the final engineering, and then we partner with EV providers that bring the equipment and the software solutions to the clients.
Got it. And so if we're starting back at the beginning, like telecom communications, like who are your clients, like the big guys essentially?
Yeah, so we used to do a lot of work with T-Mobile. They were a big heavy build. And then I've seen many launches. You don't normally see many cellular launches, but I was talking to a colleague the other day, and he's like, "This is my last launch, Steve." And I said, "It's probably mine too."
Yeah. It must have started when you were like 12 or 13, right?
Yeah, I came over here in 2002, and I was doing telecom in the UK prior to that. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, you remember the voice stream? I don't know whether you remember the voice stream days. That's the old T-Mobile. It was OmniPoint voice stream.
Okay.
And then T-Mobile. They had a very aggressive build in New York City. So when we launched KMB, that was a lot of our bread and butter
Right.
in building T-Mobile, and we also then developed contracts with the major carriers, Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, and then new carriers came along. Metro
Yeah.
PCS came along, so
Right.
I did a network launch for them in the city. So that's heavy going. They've got certain dates and criteria they need to hit. So
Yeah.
we worked on launching them. They were acquired by T-Mobile, and now over the last few years we've been working with Dish Network. So Dish is bringing an Open RAN network, new technology to the industry, and they're doing their launch, and it's been great.
Yeah.
We've been doing site acquisition, finding the real estate sites for the installations and doing the detailed design. Heavily involved in the New York Metro, but we've been working with other people, licensed in all 50 states. So we've been developing other solutions for Dish nationwide. It's been an interesting road.
Yeah. No, definitely. And then so MEP, what kind of clients are you working with there?
So MEP is a lot of repeat clients. Our clients are generally architects. So the architects will be working with the owner of the project, the end user, the end owner of the project, and they come to us for the mechanical, electrical, plumbing design.
Got it. And then solar.
Solar is very varied. So we only deal with commercial solar installations. So our clients could be an EPC, so engineering, procurement, construction is what that means. So they would, some of EPCs have engineering in-house, many don't. So they'll look to a company like KMB to partner with them and do the engineering. But in other cases, there might be an end user that comes to us, a university, a township who wants solar on all of their school buildings. We get a lot of greenfield developments where investors come together and they want to develop a solar plant, and they've bought a piece of property. So the clients can vary a lot.
Okay. And then as far as EV, charging stations and things.
That's
like
an
that.
interesting industry,
Yeah.
right? So when I look at EV, it reminds me a lot of the early days of telecom, which was like the wild, wild west of telecom. Where
Right.
you were going out, you were getting leases, you were building sites. And EV is kind of similar to that because people really haven't found I don't think people have found their feet in EV yet, especially on an ROI model. The return on investment for EV is hard.
Yeah.
And it's not easy,
Right.
right? And where are you going to build these, and how are you going to make money on them?
Right.
And how long do people want to actually spend at a place and charge?
Right.
So if you've got a level 2 charger, I mean, level 1 is at your house. If you're going back and forth to work and you've got a reasonable commute, you charge overnight, you're good, you
Right.
know. But then if you're traveling anywhere else, you really want a DC, an FC-DC fast charging station, because then you can charge in like 35, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, which is a reasonable overlay. It's not too long. It's not like stopping for gas, but it's
Right.
you can stop, have a cup of coffee, read the paper, whatever, and that's fine. But the level 2s, you're going to be there for quite a while. But the level 2s are half the price of a level 3. So when you're looking at building things out, a lot of people want the level 2s, but where do they place them?
Right.
And how do they guarantee that they're going to get any revenue on that? So that's what I've been seeing. I got invited by a longtime friend, colleague that I've worked with him for, I don't know, 15, 20 years in the telecom industry. And he got involved in the EV industry and asked me to whether I'd go to some conventions and be on panels, moderate panels and speak and stuff like that. So
That's great.
yeah, it's been
That's
interesting. I did one in DC, which was great. And then I just came back from Chicago. I love Chicago, especially in the summer.
Do you?
It's just it's one of my favorite cities.
Is it really? I've never been, so I have no idea what it's like.
I mean, it's not my favorite city in the winter. I'll
Okay,
tell you that.
yeah.
But in the summer, it's something about it. I can't explain it, but it's just got something. I like it a lot. So
Okay, all right.
that was a really good time. A great convention, good speakers, and that, you know, a lot of the people at that convention were states and cities, and they've got requirements to build out these EVs, right? And there's certain funding available from the government, from the Navi program, put out $5 billion, and people are putting RFPs to try and win certain sections where they're going to build. So for the Navi program, you've got to be within a mile of the main thoroughfare, whether it's a state highway or an interstate or whatever. And then from an exit point, your charging needs to be within a mile, which makes sense.
Yeah,
How far
yeah.
do people want to go
Right.
off a road to charge? So there's lots of funding out there. And then, but when the funding if the funding's and it's still hard to do an ROI and there's funding out there. So it begs the question: if there isn't funding out there, what is really going to happen? Because one of the things that we see a lot with the EV is, okay, I want to put charging gear for my school buses, right, or my trucks, but the power is not available from the grid, and it might take the utility company 18 months to bring that power to where you need it, because these trucks and when you get to medium and heavy duty trucks, mainly medium duty trucks, that's a lot of power you need to charge them.
Yeah.
And they're twice as, I mean, I'm rounding up, but they're typically twice as expensive.
Yeah.
So now if you're a township and you want to go EV, you also got to balance your budget. If your truck for the garbage disposal and collection is now twice as expensive. So am I buying one truck or am I buying two?
Right.
So there's lots to it.
Yes. Yeah.
More than just deploying charging stations.
Right. Yeah. We have some clients that are 3PLs, and there's this initiative in the industry to try to bring electric trucks
Right.
on the road, and they're extremely expensive. Charging is a challenge because they have to stop
Right.
many times to fill the tank. And it's just not there yet. It's just not. There's not enough power and opportunity to charge.
Right.
So
it's a whole trickle down effect. I mean, especially when you get into the municipalities and the people that are maintaining the vehicles. Now you've got diesel mechanics that maintain the existing vehicles at the DPW. They don't know how to work on an electric vehicle. So
Right.
now you got to. What do? You got to retrain them, or what happens
Right.
there? There's when you get into it and you start slicing up the pie. There's many aspects to this. It's not just, oh yeah, we're going to deploy EV and
Right.
it's done.
It's done.
It doesn't
Right.
work like it's not going to
Right.
work like that.
Yeah. So how are you getting your opportunities now? Like what happens that generates revenue for you guys?
I'll speak across the divisions, right? Because it's very different. So the telecom division is relationship based. It's repeat customers. It's just having that reputation in the industry.
Right.
So we obviously still market and we get some work from new customers that are sideline projects or smaller projects. But the big carriers know who we are, and we've worked with them for many years, and that's repeat business. It's very similar.
And that says a lot about the organization too, right? You must be doing something right.
Well, thank you. We try. We
Yes.
try very hard on that. I mean, our clients, we try and look at things in a little bit different way with our clients. They're not a client; they're a partner.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we try and look at it from their side as our side too. So we want to bring value and we want to solve their problems. So when we're talking to our clients, and I'm getting a little bit off what the original question, but to go and answer this one, is sometimes a client will come to us and they've got a scope of work and they tell us what they want us to do, okay, and that's fine, and we'll go through it. But there might have been some lessons that we've learned on similar projects that there's other items that need to be addressed, or maybe there's a different way to attack the problem.
Yep.
So rather than just go back to them and respond, we'll sit down with them and say, listen, this is great,
Yeah.
and we understand what you want, but have you considered these things that we've come across in the past? And I think if we break it down this way, or we separate it this way, we might be able to attack the problem a little bit better and give you more value
Right.
than you want.
Yep.
And that's what I think makes KMB a little bit different
Yeah.
from other companies, and we really do partner at that level. So on the telecom side, it's a lot of repeat business that way. MEP is very similar. MEP is very relationship based. A lot of our clients are architects, and these architects have a personal relationship with Steve Fox and the KMB team.
Right.
They know what they want. They're architects.
Right.
They're very particular about what they want.
Right.
And they want it delivered in a certain way. And Steve and his team are very good at understanding that and delivering that to them.
Got it.
And then they'll recommend to other architects, listen, if you're having a problem or you're not getting what you want from your MEP team, reach out to KMB, talk to Steve.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is word of mouth. Some stuff does come from the website, We get a lot of hits on our website, so thanks for that.
Yeah,
Kudos
of
to
course,
you guys.
yeah. Hey, we try.
You do a great job. So
Thanks.
the Google Ads and the SEO on that is working really well, and that is where we really see a lot of volume and a lot of revenue opportunities on the solar side.
That's great.
So, I think our Google ranking is pretty high when you type in like solar engineering.
Yep,
Like
yeah.
we're right up there, which is great. And Alison Kimball and her team do a fantastic job in servicing those clients with Kyle. And so I monitor our info, right? So it all comes to me first. Well, it comes to a few people, but I look at it and I'll break it down into like, this is just a general inquiry. They're trying to sell me batteries from China. I'm not really responding to that. Yeah. But a lot of it is a valued proposition.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how many valued propositions we're getting in.
Yeah, through the website.
From the website.
Non-relationship, like these people are, cold opportunities.
Totally cold.
Yeah,
totally cold.
Great.
So they'll come in. I'll set up a call. Initially, it's with me, and I'll just find out who they are. Mm-hmm. What are they really looking for? Because sometimes they don't know. They want to put I want to put solar on my building.
Right.
So okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll break it down for them, and then once we get to a certain point, I'll hand it off to the solar team, and then they'll generate the proposals, and they'll run with everything from that point on. But I like to evaluate the stuff that's coming in.
Yeah, no, that's
first.
great, because you also get to twist knobs yourself, right? When you see like what people are asking you for,
yeah,
it might shift your business model a little bit, right? Like
yeah.
we run paid for ourselves, and we keep on getting this inquiry for a marketing webinar or this click through for a marketing webinar, and we don't have a webinar live on our website.
Okay.
And it's just a broad catchphrase we have out there.
Okay.
So I have built a webinar. I just haven't fucking recorded it and put it up. So like this is making me like want to do that now,
right.
Because it's opportunity to get a prospect through a marketing webinar, and we're very clear on our ads, B2B, service-based companies and
right.
stuff. So it's opportunity. So that's great to hear on the website leads. We've been doing business together over 10 years.
Yeah, 10 to 12 years,
yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah. It's been a great relationship working, with you guys. We consider you part of our family, and similar to you and your clients, it's a partnership.
Right.
We don't like to be considered the vendor. We try to add value as much as possible. Some of those things that we do are these strategy sessions, these boot camps. We brought K&B through a business breakthrough boot camp. You guys seem to get some value out of that. Tell me about your experience there. Was it valuable for the organization?
Yeah, it was, Chris. It's when you look at the amount of time we took out of our work week.
That's the biggest challenge. Is nobody wants to do. Take 4 hours a day out for 2 days.
And it's also everybody, right? So it's your leadership, it's your full leadership team.
Right.
So you got to make a commitment, but that's fine. You do that.
Right.
And it was good, not just to all be together, because K&B had done a number of our self boot camps. We used to do them every year, and they became stale, okay? Because they were the same kind of thing, the same kind of objectives, and we're asking ourselves the same kind of questions, and it became a little bit stale. And we obviously do those kind of things, but on a smaller scale internally. So to all get together outside and just ask, you guys are asking us questions that we ask ourselves, or some of them maybe we don't ask ourselves, but we were forced to spend time and focus on them for a set period of time, and have follow up. And I think that was very valuable.
Yeah, great.
It was good.
Excellent. This is a tough question to answer on the spot. Like, if you were to think about all the revenue you get on a yearly basis from inquiries through the website, are you able to say how much, like what percentage of revenue that is?
I'm off the top of my head, I'm not.
Got it. Okay.
I'm not. But on the solar side, I would say it's a pretty good percentage. I'd like to actually know what it is.
Right.
So what we've been doing over the past few months, maybe even longer, is we've been logging everything a little bit better in our CRM tool.
Yep.
And just understanding exactly where did this lead come in from, right?
Yeah.
So we can put it in its basket. Did this come in from the website?
Right.
Did this come in from a recommendation from another client? Is this repeat existing client? So we're working on that right now. So next podcast, I'll have an answer for you.
I'll have you on next week. That's good to hear. Okay, cool. So I do want to touch back. We talked about culture for a sec. You guys as an organization do some pretty cool things. You have a gym inside of your office that was recently built, right?
Yeah. We've got a pretty special CEO. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
Yes,
He's pretty incredible. And
he's a sweetheart of a guy. I love
he's a great
Steve.
guy,
Great human being.
and he's one of my closest friends in life, right? And I've worked with him for since 2002. So he's we've got a long-standing relationship, and to go to your point, we're all focused on the staff, and the staff come first, and Steve sometimes thinks about that and takes it to the next level, and it's some of it's little things, right? So every Friday we breakfast for all the staff.
That's great.
Every day there's snacks. Everything's free at KMB. There's snacks for the staff. So if they're hungry, there's food in the office, right? We have a really nice, chill room, right? And not to your level that you've got here at CMDS, but we've got a nice area where people can go. There's a TV. There's some games. They can just relax a little bit. And then during COVID, or I forget the exact timing, is when we had the opportunity to take on extra lease space. So we've got COVID going on and all this crazy stuff going on, and Steve's like, I want to take on this extra lease space and let's build a gym for the staff. Meanwhile,
everybody else is bugging out.
Everybody else is bugging out and wanting to work from home, and we're like, no, we like people being together. I've got no problem with the people that want to work from home, and we'll accommodate that as much as we can.
Right.
But there's an element of being a team and actually talking that you don't get when you work from home. You don't get that sidebar conversation in the kitchen.
Yes.
You don't get that interaction anymore.
Yeah.
And that does,
it's hard
I
to
think
build
that
culture.
It does cost the culture a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So we're heavy on the culture side of things, and the gym is crazy good.
Yeah.
Right? We've got changing rooms, showers, every piece of equipment you could ever imagine.
It's great.
So it's pretty cool.
So let me know when you're hiring. I'll pop over there. I'm done with this place.
No, you're not.
I'm definitely
no, you're not. You're building.
I think I'm screwed by now. I don't know if I could ever work for another company ever again at this point. I've been in business 22 years. So
no, you can't.
Yeah,
no,
I'm left.
So so that's one of the things that we do. We do some obviously we do some lunch and learns where we bring pizza in and do some lunch and learns in the office. We do a bunch of different happy hours, different themed happy hours, whether it's St. Patrick's Day, Oktoberfest, summer social. We go to the Blue Claws game, and then we obviously have a big holiday party that we do every year. So we're very focused on being in touch with the team and trying to keep things light, because sometimes it's pretty heavy. Trying to get things done. We've got very demanding clients, so sometimes it's a little heavy, and you gotta make it a little light every now and again.
So how's the personal relationship affect your working relationship with Steve? Is there any sort of challenge there ever? Are you guys you're a piece of cake, right?
I mean, it's just natural, right? It's not forced.
Right.
He's not my friend because he's my business partner. It's not my business partner because he's my friend. It is what it is.
Right.
Right. I genuinely like the guy. So if I wasn't in business with him, I'd be hanging out with him anyway.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So it just built that way. It just happened. When we started the company, there was 4 partners: me, Steve, Bruce Bowe, and Mark Worthley. Mark, a wonderful guy, great family man. Mark retired and moved down to Florida and is living his best life.
There you go. Nice.
God blessings to him, right? Him and Kathy. Unfortunately, Bruce passed away, and that was very, very sudden and very sad. And it's now it's me and Steve, and we've got a bunch of other partners that support the company, and it's a great team. And like I said to you, most of us have worked together for a long time. Kristen worked with Steve Bray at a prior company before coming to Innovative. So there's. Right. And so did Vince Gamina. Vince Gamina, who runs our utility coordination department. He's known Steve longer than I have.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's wild. That's
it
crazy.
Is wild.
Very rare. Nowadays that exists still.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
It's cool.
I love that. What point in time do you feel like KMB scaled the most, and what attributed to that scaling? Was there one year that was like, wow, things are really taking off here?
We had a lot of things hit around, I think, 2015. There was a couple of really big projects that came in at once, and we had to scale up staff-wise, which is hard to do.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's easier said than done to bring on talent. We had a couple of projects that we didn't realize exactly how how big they were going to get. So we started delivering for one client, and they really liked what we did. And then they're like, well, can you deliver in this region? Can you deliver in this region? Can you deliver in this region?
Right.
And before you know it, we were operating, I think we got operated in 42 states for that one client on the telecom side.
Wow.
And our ramp up for that was dramatic.
Yeah.
Right. So I was heavily involved with Steve and Kristen on hiring for that, making sure we had good talent, cross training, and then how we tackle the projects. Like what can we do to smooth and shorten our cycle times for delivery? How do we improve? How do we improve how we start the project and deliver the project?
Right.
What are our pain points along the way, and how do we delete those? Right. So that was a big challenge, and a continuing challenge that we've had in solar. We've got a great team, but it's a similar thing with solar, is to find a senior electrical engineer that's familiar with PV and low voltage. It's different engineering, and to find that talent it can be a challenge.
Have you and the organization ever considered acquisition in order to solve some of those challenges?
We have, and we've gone down that road a few times, and it goes back to one of your earlier questions about culture. Some of the times we've been working with the company, and the company that we were looking to acquire. When you get into a lot of things with them, sometimes the way that they want to operate and the way that we operate, it's not purely a financial transaction.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as that.
Right. Yeah.
Because you have to then mesh them
with your
seamlessly into your team. So you've got to think a similar way. You've got to act a similar way. So I think acquisition and interaction of acquisition is hard to do.
Yeah.
The way that we've been doing it is we've been acquiring talent and building on the talent. So it's if you bring person A in and they've got a certain set of skills, like Liam Neeson, right? Certain set of skills, you can then build on that and build around them with other talent rather than take company C over here and try and mesh that and their existing staff and how they've done things for 20 years and then try and change that.
Right. Yeah.
So you're now fighting, against the tide.
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's not good for other people, just that when our experience of it has been more that side.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense, and I've heard that before too. Some of the things that we've been doing lately, actually this year, is just constantly running our own ads to recruit. And on our webpage, we have accepting resumes for every job description. There's a couple that are actively hiring, but we're trying to build this black book of rock star candidates that want to come work with us and work for us and help us grow the organization. So when it's time, we can reach out to them and say, hey, listen, this is the opportunity. Are you ready to come?
Yeah. We've got live positions, some that we're always looking for, some that we're not looking for right now. But if a certain resume crosses my desk, you're going to think about it, right?
Yeah.
So we've got that on the website. I actively look through LinkedIn and post my own ads that I'm looking for somebody.
Yep.
And I actually recruited a senior electrical engineer for solar a few weeks ago.
That's great.
Purely that way.
That's great.
I posted an ad. A guy sent his resume, interview. Within 2 or 3 weeks, he's on board. So
wow, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like rare to find somebody that quick too.
I know. But Steve challenged me during a business meeting. He said, "I bet Banksy, you gotta help us acquire a senior electrical engineer." I said, "I'll rise to that challenge."
There you go.
I don't remember if there was money on that bet.
Okay.
Steve will remember. He doesn't forget anything.
Yeah.
He'll remember.
That's awesome.
That was good. And we've got, because of the whole COVID thing and people moving around, like we've got staff, all over the place. So we're based in New Jersey. We're based right down the road here on Route 34. We're around about 65 people strong. But we've got
in that location
throughout. So we've got people in Florida. We've got people in North Carolina. We've got people in New York. We've got people in Pennsylvania. I might miss somewhere.
Yeah.
And then we've got some talent that we've recruited abroad, because what's the difference of being in Florida or being somewhere else? So we've got talent in Romania.
Wow.
We've got talent in Jordan.
Wow.
We've got some talent in India. So it's a different world now.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And anywhere that you can find somebody that's going to be great and add value to the organization, might as well
Right.
scoop them up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So it's
that's
good.
great.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Awesome. What was the biggest challenge for the organization since you've been in it?
Oof. Biggest challenge for the organization since
Yeah,
I've been in
and
it.
how might have you overcome that challenge?
I think I'm going to talk about it more from my standpoint, right?
Okay.
So I've always been a hands-on engineer and manager. So I'm letting go has been a bit of a challenge, and trusting other people with the responsibilities
Right.
that you hold on to, right? I've always wanted to find the right talent so that you've got progression, right? You're transferring your knowledge to somebody else so you can move on to do different things. Being knocked out of the box is it's the hardest thing to do. You've got to get out of the way and let other people come in and manage.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard to bring up, and maybe bring up's the wrong word, but to work with our team of senior staff and have them as partners of the company and fully involved in every aspect of their division, totally open on the finances side of where we are,
Right.
where the company's going. They're very involved in operating decisions moving forward, and getting to that point where you've got other people that I know I can go, if I went away for like 2 weeks, that'd be fine. And Steve Striffler and the team, Jason Beato and the team would manage the telecom division,
And the place wouldn't fall to
the
shit.
place wouldn't fall. And if there's a new RFP or a new project that they'd want to get me involved just to look at it from a high level and give them some direction, and that's fine. But general operations, that they're covered. And to get to that point though, it's easier said than done to have all of these things, all of these people working in sync and managing everything. And I'm no longer the conductor on a daily basis,
Right.
whereas I used to be basically managing each department head, and they were all reporting to me constantly, and I was like keeping everybody moving and making sure everything was going. And I've stepped away from that role as president. I don't do that obviously anymore.
Right. Yep.
And I'm more focused on the overall company and each division.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, does that feel you cool with that? Does that feel good?
It felt uncomfortable at
Yeah.
the beginning, but it feels good now
Yeah.
because I have a lot of faith and trust. I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
And they know that like my door's always open, and the smallest thing,
Yep.
like just like me and Steve, we try and have lunch every day to talk about the business and what's going on, and just to focus on a few things, right? So we're always updated. So there's no surprises.
Yeah.
Apart from yesterday, I updated Steve on something. He goes, "Why didn't you tell me that at lunch?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, mate."
Yeah.
But there should be no surprises because we know what's going on.
Right.
So that's good. So he got to a point where I feel very comfortable with
Nice.
it right
Great.
now. Yeah.
So, with some of this extra time, right, you find opportunity to fill that time. Do you have dedicated time to work on the business?
So I'm trying to do better at my time management and my allotments of what I'm gonna work on, right? And I've got to get better at that.
Right.
Because sometimes I'll find myself going, something will come in, and I'm spending a lot of time on this. I need to refocus on some of the things. But yeah, I try and pigeonhole certain times. I'm going to spend X amount of time on business development this way. I'm going to spend other time on business development this way. I'm going to spend this amount of time on just reaching out to clients, friends, associates, just touching base.
Right.
And I actually did that yesterday. I reached out to a friend that I worked with back in the UK, and we don't talk that often. He's got his own company in England, and they're doing a lot of commercial solar right now. And we were just like touching base, and he's like, "Are you working with this client? Because we're doing a lot of work with them. We're designing a lot of substations. Are you working with them?" I said, "I don't know. Let me check." And it was so funny that we just sent a proposal to that
that's
client
wild.
on July 2nd. So I reached back out to him and said, "Well, hoping to be working with them soon."
Right.
He goes, "Well, let me know. So I know those guys really well." So I'll spend some time doing that, and then obviously focusing on the staff and the business, and where is our next growth opportunity?
Yeah.
We've got a few things that We've always been involved in fiber, and on that hardline telecom side where you're putting fiber in the ground or overhead. And we've had some opportunities to help some clients and deliver some solutions for them. So that's been kind of interesting.
Yep.
So there's some opportunities for that. And then a business that I didn't really know much about 2 years ago was cannabis grow facilities.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously
For a while that was blowing up. Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah.
So I mean, the amount of power that you need for some of these big, you've got 100,000 square foot grow facility, you've got 3 layers of grow.
Right.
We're attacking it from a MEP perspective. So you might need a cogen, you might need a natural gas cogen plant, and then you've got all of your irrigation, capturing your water, all of the heat.
And you're just focusing on the power of that. Are you doing the plumbing design too?
Plumbing design.
Wow, that's crazy.
HVAC.
Okay.
So some of that involves structural because of you're putting units on the roof or whatever you're doing. So it's a totally different side to MEP. It's MEP,
Right.
but it's like MEP plus in some areas because these things have got a serious amount of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing requirements. So that's pretty cool. And we've had a bunch of those that come in through the website, and that's interesting. I got a friend that's doing a dispensary, and he reached out to me. He's like, Steve, you do engineering, right? And I'm like, yeah, we do engineering. And he knows how to do engineering. He doesn't know anything else, right?
Yeah.
He goes, I'm building a dispensary. Can you help me out? I said, what are you doing? He goes, I don't. We're knocking the building down. We're building it up from the foundation. I said, okay, I'll connect you with an architect. So
there you go. So what's the ideal size requirement for somebody to do business with KMB in each of these sectors here?
I don't think we have we've got some clients on the telecom side where we might do a small job for them and it might only be like $15,000 or something like that. We've got other clients that it's there's one project and it might come in at like $1.52 million.
Right.
So we don't really look at the size of the project that's coming in. It's like, are we the right partner for you?
Right.
Does it make sense for you to work with us? Does it make sense for us to work with you?
Right.
That's
everything. Yeah.
That's the only really thing. And on the solar side, it's similar. There's some projects that come in, and if it might be too small for us. By the time we educate the client and do the projects, and it's a small project, it might not be worth it for us to touch it, because on the commercial side, we need projects to be of a certain size.
Right.
A certain number of kilowatts for us to. We prefer megawatts. For us to actually get in and make something, right? It's the juice has got to be worth the squeeze, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
we got to. So that's what I would say. I don't think we've got. Well, I know we don't have a number. So we'd look at maybe a client's got one project right now where they've got 10 coming up, and they're smaller projects, but when you combine them together and they're going to roll together and you're going to be working with the same people, then that's fine, and you get some economy of scale that way. But every time you work with a client, they've got their own individual requirements, what they need, and it takes time to learn that. If you've got repeat business with a client all the time, you know that. So you know what they like to see on a drawing, or how they like to be handled, or how they like to interface rather than handle.
Yep.
Right. So it makes things easier when you go to a new client. That onboarding and working together takes time and money.
Right.
So there has to be a certain size and opportunity for it to make sense.
How do you find yourselves like winning over competition? So, why are companies choosing you over your competition? I mean, I know just doing business with you for a while, you're great human beings, and you all have awesome personalities, and it feels easy to do business with you.
Thank you.
That's something that you really experience like almost after, starting the relationship though, right? So like what happens prior to starting the relationship that they're like, wow, these guys are great.
So that's really tough, right? So when we don't have a relationship with them, if we've been recommended by somebody else, it's a little easier, because often it's price.
Right.
So some people say, KMB are a great company, and we'll put a proposal together, because sometimes you're your own worst enemy. So we'll get a scope of work, and we'll know what needs to get done in that scope of work. So we might be including things that we know need to get done. and somebody else is pricing it, and they might know it needs to get done too, but they don't include for those items. When they don't include for those items, their price is obviously lower. So I think telling that story with the client's important to acquire them. But a lot of it just comes down to price. So one of the things, like I was saying earlier on, one of the things when we talk to people is explain to them, listen, this is our proposal. This is why we're at the number that we're at, and explain it. And in some cases, they're like, yeah, no, I get it. And we want to work with you guys. Yeah. In other cases, it's just dollars and cents. And they're like, no, we're going to, you guys put in I've heard it so many times. You just did a massive proposal for a huge solar farm. It was the second phase of a solar farm. There's a third phase coming along. And it required a substation design. And we spent a lot of time putting it together. And then the lead engineer from the client's like, listen, your proposal was excellent and we really value it, but you were slightly higher than the competition, so we're going in a different direction. And I'm like, okay, but where did we miss? Yeah. Right? What did we really miss? Or did they not include something? Right, yeah. And often you can't have that conversation.
I know, that's a challenge sometimes, yeah.
To try and have that backdoor conversation about what really happened here.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like for us, we don't respond to RFPs or RFQs because of that. If you're looking on paper, we're always going to be middle high, like in pricing. We're going to middle range or high. And I know your industry is completely different than mine, but I dislike that. It's never an apples to apples comparison. Correct. And what we find in our industry is that there'll be agencies that will underbid and then charge extra for certain things that exist, just to get the relationship started. They'll underbid and then, oh, you want this, and it turns out to be scope creep when it's just opportunity to bill more. So it's definitely a challenge, in many industries to overcome that. And the hope is that they have such a bad experience with who they've chosen that they come back and say, hey, you know what, like we'd like to try you out again, or there's a relationship that forms with somebody within the organization that you can capitalize on and then get that next at bat. So.
Yeah, RFP responses are tough because a lot of times it takes a lot of time and money to respond to an RFP, and what is you don't know what your percentage opportunities. You don't know how many people are bidding on this. Right, yeah. And then you don't know how they're going to manage the RFP. So we put a fantastic response in, and we've got a number associated with that. You don't know if they're going to shop that to the other people and say, right. Yeah. If you can come in lower than this number, you just don't know you just don't know what's going to happen. Right.
So, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience while I have you on here?
Wow. I could share a lot of things.
Let's not get crazy here.
No, I think it's first of all, thanks again for having me on, and appreciate how we've worked together and what you guys bring to the table. Great. And I think one of the reasons we're here on the podcast is because how successful the relationship has been. Right. So I think what I would share is engineers, we've said this to you guys a lot of times, engineers are hard to get out of the box and think different ways. We can be a little bit straight line in our thinking. And for us to get more involved in doing different marketing approaches has made a difference, not just to our overall marketing strategy, but the results that we've seen from that marketing strategy. Great. So in working with you and doing the videos and how we've worked with Google rankings, and the website is proven to do great. We just did a recent update where we put more videos on the website a few months ago, and that's good because that's getting we need to tell our story, and you can't always just tell that story by people reading the services. Everybody's got a website that reads the services, right. So now you've got an interview on the website with either me or Steve Fox or Steve Bray or Steve Striffler. We have lots of Steves, as you've
yes,
noticed.
Yeah, I thought you had a recruitment strategy just for Steve's.
We have a recruitment strategy just for Steve. But I think I would share that ask yourselves really what you're doing to grow. Yeah. and shake it up a little bit.
Yeah. Step outside the
Step
box.
outside the box.
Right. Yeah.
Step outside the box. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Stephen Banks on LinkedIn. You can go to my website, kmbdg.com, or email me at sbanks@kmbdg.com.
Awesome.
I'd love to hear from people.
That sounds great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for being on the show. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. It's great. Appreciate it.
Yeah.